And let me simply say that I expect a lot of amendments today. This is a serious proposition, and I think people on all sides of these questions will be taking it seriously. And I expect this is going to be a very long discussion. If it continues on past the adjournment of the House, the committee will remain in session until we have completed action on the bill, even if we have to go around the clock this evening. So I'd be prepared to have a lifeline sent out for a sandwich or something if you need one. But we have no choice but to finish this bill so we can get it on the floor next week, and so that can be followed by the budget bill, also a great blessing to this committee, as I'm sure the gentleman from California will agree. Let me say in opening the discussion on the matter before us, the President has sent the Congress an extraordinary supplemental request. To my knowledge, it is the largest supplemental appropriation bill in the history of the world, certainly in the history of this country. And the President is asking the Congress essentially to fund a continuation of the war in Iraq in accordance with the policies that he has been following for the past 4 years, and in accordance with the policies as he has modified them over the past few months to, if anything, intensify our involvement in that war. People in this country feel very strongly on both sides. In fact, I think there are more than two sides on this issue. People have many gradations of views on this issue. I would hope that those views are expressed in a way which demonstrate that every single one of us cares about this country. Every single one of us cares about the troops in the field. Every single one of us cares about what this war has done to this country and what it has done to our influence around the world. And I would hope that what everyone would see today in this committee would be an honest grappling with facts and our interpretations of those facts as we try to work our way to a consensus. Now, the bill before us does a number of things. First of all, it attempts to redirect more resources to the war against al-Qaeda and the Taliban in Afghanistan, because we believe that we ought to be fighting the right war in the right country rather than fighting the wrong war in the wrong country. Secondly, this bill would attack the neglect of our returning troops and veterans who are badly in need of health care and much better attention than they've been getting so far. And thirdly, it sets a timeline for bringing the United States participation in Iraq to an end based on the conduct of Iraqi politicians and religious leaders. In that sense, I would suggest that what it does is to put Congress in the role of bad cop, trying to deliver a message to the politicians in Iraq that we are not going to sit around forever watching them dither, watching them refuse to compromise while our troops continue to die as they're involved in an Iraqi civil war. This bill, as I said, adds $1.2 billion to the President's request to fight al-Qaeda and the Taliban in Afghanistan. It adds $3.5 billion to end the disgraceful neglect of our soldiers who have answered their country's call and now have a right to call upon their country to provide them with the tools they need to overcome their injuries and reclaim their lives. Mr. Murtha will explain how it focuses on traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, and improves our military hospitals and veterans hospitals to avoid the disgraceful problems that have occurred at Walter Reed and which we would hope to avoid in other places. To deal with other needs of our troops, the bill provides an additional $1.4 billion for base housing, $3.1 billion for the BRAC. We promised when the continuing resolution was before us that we would fully fund the administration request with respect to that effort, and we're doing so today. In order to minimize the burden and maximize the security of our troops, the proposal would direct the President to adhere to the military's own basic guidelines for unit readiness, length of time they can be deployed in Iraq, and the time they're entitled to remain at home before they return. Mr. Murtha will explain those in greater detail. As I said, to pressure Iraqi leaders to make the compromises necessary to end the chaos that has afflicted that country, this proposal establishes a timeline for ending U.S. participation in Iraq's civil war. And I think by now you're well familiar with that timeline. The bill also includes $2.5 billion to address urgent homeland security needs, including aviation detection systems, advanced passenger screening, and air cargo screening. Now, I appreciate the fact that the President has been resistant to that funding. There's nothing new about that. Since the early days after 9/11, when Bill Young chaired this committee, and when he and I went down to the White House in a bipartisan fashion to try to persuade the President to put more funding into Homeland Security efforts, ever since that day when he indicated that if we added $1 more than we'd provided, or than he'd provided in his budget, he would veto the bill. Ever since that day, we've been in a tug of war, and this Congress has consistently, with the support of people on in both parties, provided more funding than the administration has asked for Homeland Security, and I make no apology for the fact that we are providing more today. We also provide $1 billion more for pandemic flu preparedness. If that flu virus evolves, this country could face the greatest public health crisis since 1918. And we need to do everything possible to see to it that our citizens are protected every bit as well as citizens in France, England, or any other country in the world. And if we do not get on with both building the capacity to produce the antivirals and to produce the vaccines, if we don't move ahead with our ability to expand that production capacity and to produce the additional doses that we need, we could face a catastrophic health care problem in this country. That item is every bit as much an emergency as any item that we've considered in years, in my view. We also try to meet our obligations to the victims of Katrina by providing $2.9 billion of additional funding for Gulf Coast recovery efforts. We provide $735 million to eliminate shortfalls in 14 states under the State Children's Health Insurance Program, or SCHIP as it's known. We provide $400 million to partially restore cuts in the low-income home assistance program. We are restoring only 40% of the reduction that we had from last year's level in that program. And the bill does a variety of other things that we feel are essential. So I would ask your support for the bill, and I would ask I would ask that members try to focus on the issues that are before us when amendments are offered, rather than ranging into a discussion of other amendments, or of other subjects. It will take a long enough time just debating the merits of these individual amendments without